What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Resellers Podcast with Tech and Sports and Daily Refinement. Today, we're going to talk about the recipe to get to $1 million a year in revenue on eBay. So, Tech and Sports is already there. I'm about halfway. I've been doing about $10,000 a month in sales. $10,000 a week in sales for about 3 months now. And I'm trying to get to that next level. I want to double up this year. So, I need to double my listing habit from $10,000 a week to $20,000 a week. Tech is already at $30,000 a week, so there's levels to this. You've got to take your time, pay your dues, work your way up. In this episode, I apologize. The audio is a little bit off, so we're going to work on that and improve it for next time. But definitely still listen all the way to the end. This is actually a 3-hour episode, so I recommend you join our Facebook group. It's $34.99 a month. It's an active mentorship. Join the group, post in here exactly what you're working on. We also have 9 hours of live coaching with 5 different coaches. You got Tech and Sports, you've got Monica the Posh Hanger, you've got Jack Weaver, who did $1 million last year on Amazon, mostly online arbitrage and video games. If you live in an area where you have to learn how to source online, I would join Jack's tier because he's going to be able to help you out with that the most. We have Ashley, Hustle at Home Mom. She's going to be focused more on the part-time hustle with the family. You get all the coaches for the same price. If you sign up for $34.99, you're supporting me in this group. Or you can support Monica in her group. She talks about Amazon and FBA. Or you can join the other 2 groups. It's all the same. You get all the coaches for the same price at $34.99. It's a really, really good deal. So let's get into the episode of how to get to that next level, how to get 7 figures in sales and actually be profitable. It's not just revenue, right? You want to build the smallest team, make the fewest steps, and get the most profit out of it. So we'll see you guys in the episode. Thank you so much for coming here. See you guys inside. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Resellers Podcast with Tech and Sports and Daily Refinement. Today, we want to talk about the recipe to sell $1 million a year on eBay. Tech is already doing that, and I'm trying to follow the recipe to get there. And I think a lot of people underestimate how long it takes, which is how I want to start the episode, because you have this saying about easy money that's rolling in on repeat in my brain. I think a lot of people need that advice. So what's that saying you have?
The saying I say to you from time to time is easy money ain't good and good money ain't easy. You know, you've been branded the last couple of days as the scientist of the group that we have here. And then you'll present something and just say, I totally dismiss it immediately, most times, because if something's too easy, then, you know, it's too good to be true. So, you know, like you said, it doesn't happen as quickly as you would think, but on the grand scheme of things, it's very easy to build a business on eBay short term when you think about other businesses that are in the real world. So, you know, I've been doing eBay for 10 years. Part of that isn't as hard as I'm going now. During the last stages of the years, I've been able to build a business that did 1.2 million last, 1.7 in 2020. And, you know, that happened in the span of 10 years. So in the grand scheme of things as business building, it didn't take that long, but it still took a good amount of time.
Just to recap that, you did 1.7 last year, 1.2 the year before, and it's taken you about a decade to refine your skills. And the saying that keeps rolling in my brain is easy money ain't good and good money ain't easy. And it makes me think, like, even if you go back to the Vanderbilts, he is, like, you know, one of the greatest businessmen of all time. If you do adjust for inflation, he made 250 billion in his lifetime. But if you read his biography, he actually made all of his money by breaking the law. So, like, in order to get that kind of insane wealth, it's not common. You know, there's a lot of people who are making easy money. It's because they're breaking the rules. You know, if you are just following the, you know, the tried and true method of $1 million a year is essentially $130 sales a day. If you do $130 sales a day, that's $3,000 a day over the course of a year. That's $1 million in revenue. You should comfortably make 6 figures, regardless of what category you're in. And if you're not making 10% profit, you're in a challenging category.
Yeah, you should be able to make well over 10% with a $30 average sale price. So, it is hard to achieve a $30 average sale price 100 times throughout the day. So every time you do get a $30 sale, that's 1% of what you need to do today if you want to sell $3,000 per day, just to put it into perspective. But that's a great place to be, is the $30 average sale price when you're doing the thrift store model. Get a lot of $30 items or between $5 to $7. So after all said and done, you should be able to make about $20 each times 100. That's $2,000 per day on that model, which is a very, very healthy living.
Definitely. And there's economies of scale. You start to get orders of more than one in an order, and that usually makes up for returns and other things. As long as when you're at a certain size, you get multiple orders, but it takes a while to get there. And I want people to stay patient because you're going to hear a million and one ideas on how to improve your business, especially now that our smartphones are connected to millions of people. You have to think about whether or not something actually helps you get closer to your goal. So we want to highlight Christine in the group because she posted a picture today of her selling all these, or actually, she actually called it, what she call it, getting rid of. But she was still selling, giving it to her sister to sell.
Yeah. Yeah. It was all a bunch of stuff that was not focused on her niche, which is what she found, what she wants to do. It was a lot of hard goods, a lot of miscellaneous stuff that she was buying and having. And it's very, very difficult to do that. A lot of talk about that, but very rarely do people just really do it. They really get rid of all stuff that's holding them, stuff that's holding them in 100 different directions. So for someone to actually do that and make that decision today, that's going to benefit their business long term, there's nothing but praise that I have for somebody like that, because all of our jobs as business owners is not to fight for today. We're all in business for years, for multiple years down the road. So to make a difficult decision right now, because buying that bicycle at the flea market, you might make $700 on it today. But long term, over the course of a year or 2 years, how much did all of miscellaneous items that are not in your niche hold you back? And over the course of the long term, it's way more beneficial to hyper focus on what you want to sell, become an expert in that, refine every single process in your business to that niche, no matter what it is, if it's VCRs, if it's bikes, if it's clothes, and build a business around that, and you'll be way better off long term.
That's really important to understand because it's the 20 minutes that you lose each time you think about something different added up that prevent you from really getting to that next level. There is a bike store here. It's an 8-figure store. They do 10 million or more on eBay. They're all bicycle sales. And if you look in that eBay store, it's in San Jose, there isn't anything except for bicycles. They don't also sell blenders or microwaves, or it's not related. It would be impossible to reach that level of expertise without that. And they figured it out. Like if you want to focus in a niche, you spend all your time on that one idea. When you start to get momentum, it gets easier. This is something that I want to let everybody know. It gets easier to focus once you see your sales going up. When you panic, somebody in the group today posted that they've been posting a lot, but their February sales aren't doing as well as they expected. That's okay. Don't stay the course. There's not going to be a lot of people on YouTube telling you to keep going because it's not going to have an immediate return. You can't start listing a lot and all of a sudden get a ton of sales.
Right. And like I was telling her that last year in March, I increased 168 items per day to 250 per day. I'm just now seeing the results of all of that work for the last 10 months. I'm just now starting to see that now. All of the work, all of the extra listing, you're talking 50,000 extra listing, and I'm just benefits for that now. So it doesn't happen overnight, but there was things that I was talking to her that you can do. Just consistently things that it does for your, if you use items every single day, you get a bump in the search rank on new items every single day for the first 24 hours. If you every single day, you have emails going out to people who follow your store. So every single day I list items, and the guy Don in the group, he follows the store. He gets an email every single day that says, "Hey, Tech and Sports has listed 250 items." I think I have 4 or 5 thousand followers. That goes out to 4 or 5 thousand people. So you have those new listings that got the bump. You have an email going out to everyone that follows your store. And because you list every single day, what does that mean? That means you have items ending every single day. So now you also get that bump at the end of ending soonest or ending soon. So now you have at the top that were just listed, items that are soon, and you have emails going out to everyone that follows your store. So you're constantly having action every single day.
So we had a little bit of choppiness on the audio, so I'm just going to repeat what you said. Essentially, you went from 150 or 160 listings to 250 listings, but didn't see your volume really grow for about 10 months. And I think that is true. I would say that depending on your category, eBay is slow to give you more traffic. And you guys have noticed that too on your selling limits. They don't let you go from 1,000 listings to 1,000,000 listings. It takes time. And then eventually you will have a larger limit than you can even list. So just stay the course. And it's important to understand that as you get better at your niche, you can list faster in the same amount of time. This is one thing I want people to know. As you have done this, you actually spend less and less time. I would say, even in the 3 months I've known you, you've been getting done earlier and earlier in the day.
Yeah, I used to get done around 4:30. Now getting done at 2:30, and now we're getting a head start on the next day. So right now we are a full day ahead, and we have 100 photos already taken for tomorrow. So like we're almost 2 days ahead right now, and I don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Everyone is getting better at doing all these little things.
So we want to go. I want to go back to the original topic, which is $1 million in sales, because that's one of my goals. So it's easy when you focus on your numbers to get an idea of where you need to go. Right now, I'm at about $22 average sale price, and I'm maybe 65, 70 sales a day. So I know that to sell 100 items a day, you cannot only list 100 items a day. In my category, which is clothing, not every single item sells. Some items sell for a lot, and it's helping me niche down. You mentioned that Monica, the posh hanger, one of the ladies in our group, she posted today all the different skirt styles and all the different neck, like the neckline. There's probably 30 different necklines for women's clothing. I mean, it's not, you have to be a ultra expert. But that being said, if you're on trend in women's clothing, you can have very high sell-through rate. And if you're off trend, you might not sell anything. In men's clothing, it's not as dramatic. I haven't seen, like, because there's less styles, it's not as crazy variable as women's clothing from my experience.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, it's less styles, and maybe to an extent less style to men, because like there's a lot of dudes who still wear clothes that are not on trend.
That's right.
So it is different. Shirt and are always going to dance, and your dad is always going to want that same shirt he's been wearing for the last 10 years. So it's a little bit easier with men. It's not as difficult to sell things that really don't matter as much.
Yeah, I hear you. So as you look at your actual sales per day and your average sale price, it can help you make adjustments for where you want to go. And ultimately, what you want is you want a business that is replicatable. That's why I think I've learned the most about you. Everything that you do, you try to set it up so that it's the same every day. The problem is you having a different day every day. You can't standardize that. And it's really hard to improve when every day is different.
Yeah, literally every day is exactly like before. Hired employees, they never touched eBay before, photos before, and on the first day they were able to photograph and list 100 items. So this week, actually last week, last Friday, I had somebody start with me at the warehouse because packing was just taking way too long. So I added somebody at the warehouse, and by now, a week later, they're a full professional when it comes to picking and when it comes to printing. because everything is very straightforward, very easy to find, and every day is exactly the same. We find items, put everything away, we get the pants and the shorts, gather up all the multiple quantity orders, and then we print BACD. We do ABCD every single day. So probably within 1 month, I could stop going to the warehouse and I know everything will be totally taken care of because it's ABCD every single day and there's nothing different.
That is brilliant. I literally am asking my contractors, what is it that interrupts you? So a lady was like, well, if I have to cut off the Goodwill tag, then that interrupts me, messes up my day. So if you could have it set up in this area with all the Goodwill tags cut off already, that would save me a lot of time. She also said, hey, some of the items need to be rewashed. Some of the items need to be donated. Some of them need to be repaired. I need different areas set up so I can just quickly move that into that section and move on. Each time I have to think about where to put something, it slows me down. So I'm trying to set it up so their job looks the same every day.
Right. And if you need to rewash, then maybe wash needs to be A. B needs to be removing goodwill tags. C needs to be now what your A step is. That
Right.
way it's always A, B, C, D. It's never something got to C and A and B was mixed. Because then that's where things go off the rails and that's where something is different. And if something is different, it's gonna throw people off and throw everybody off. So for us, we wash everything before it even comes to the point of taking photos. So if it does have a flaw, that's as good as it's going to get. It's already washed. So there's going back to A items already through A. Now it's in goes to C, and you don't. It's not up to the employees to think. It's not to the employees to make a decision. You take all the guesswork out of everything, and you get them at the proper stage so they know what to do with it. It's not their job to make a decision. That makes things way too difficult.
That's right. Decision making is expensive. People get paid $30 or more an hour to make decisions, and they get paid a minimum wage to just do something over and over again. So when you look at how businesses are set up, think about what is not consistent. And in our Facebook group, that's the best way to use it. That's the best way to ask us a question is, hey, you know what? This is different for me every day. Then people can help you standardize it. There's a reason why Starbucks has a gigantic binder of procedures for something is it seems simple to make a cup of coffee for somebody, but in there, they talk about everything. What happens if the customer is upset? What happens if they're in a hurry? What happens if you make the wrong order? Where should the cups be? Where should the syrup be? When do you reorder? They have all of that laid out so someone can just follow the rules. You're not allowed to, if you're creative at Starbucks, I bet you get fired. They do not want creativity there.
It needs to be standardized. It needs to be standardized throughout the entire place of all of your business. So I had an issue yesterday where the new girl at the warehouse, she said that she got locked out of the computer because the password reset her. She didn't know the password. So I gave her the eBay password to log in. She said it didn't work. So I went back to the warehouse real quick. It's only 2 miles away. And when I got there, the password she was talking about was the password to get onto the Apple computer, that front screen password. So that's my fault because all the computers aren't the same. The one at the warehouse has a different password than the ones that are here that we work on. So I immediately changed the password so that way everything is standardized and we will never have that issue anymore because everything is exactly the same. Everything is standardized and there's nothing lost in translation. So had a little hiccup with that because we have somebody new there, but we've got past that because we standardized everything.
So we have a question from Benjamin. This is a good example. So he says that this question is for you. You're in South Florida. The Goodwills typically write the price on the brand tag with a Sharpie. How can you get it out? Or sometimes you can't get it out. How do you handle that? I also have an answer for this as well, but what do you do if they write the price right on the brand?
Take a beautiful picture of it and show it to the customer. I don't waste any time erasing it. I don't waste any time trying to clean it or anything like that. In the event that someone does say something about it, I will say that that's my inventory number and that's what bin it's in. It's in the 499 bin. So I'm not too worried about it. And I've only been asked about it maybe once or twice in my entire eBay career.
I think that what you can do in my area, they used to do that. And then basically, I don't know how this got approved, but they don't do it anymore. Enough of the larger buyers said, we want you to punch a hole with the price tag instead of right on the with Sharpie, and they changed it. They also changed it at Marshall's locally. They used to write it in Sharpie on the sole. Now they don't do that anymore. They just have the little circular thing that goes on the eyelet of the sneaker. So you can get that push through, especially if you have some buying power. You can go, but same thing. If I have the price, I sometimes add a 1 to make it $14.99. But other than that, there's nothing really you can do. You should take a picture of it so they're not surprised.
Yeah, exactly. Show it. And that way, when it does arrive, they've already seen it and you're not going to have any issues. So, it does happen where it does write the price, but I think most people at the end of the day, they kind of understand the process that we're doing eBay. So it's not a huge deal at the end. And if it is a huge deal to somebody, then they message you beforehand. And that's probably not a customer that you want to deal with.
That's right. So I want to go over a couple of things. One is what we just did, which is a problem that came up, and then you figure out a way to solve it. Usually what it has to do with is creating a process, and then you just stick with that for good. So if there's a defect or a flaw, sometimes the best method is just to actually not sometimes, almost every time, the best way to handle it is to take a picture of the flaw. I would consider marker on the tag a flaw.
Yeah, of course, definitely. So if it's on the tag, part of the procedure of taking photos here is also always taking a photo of the size tag. So we take that anyways, just to show that the shirt is indeed a size large. And if it is written on the tag, it's just there. We don't try to hide it. We just take the photo. One of the reasons why I do always take a photo of the tag, it's very important, because if someone does leave you a negative feedback saying that this shirt didn't fit like a size large, call eBay, let them know that it is in fact a size large. Here's a photo of the tag. And I also provide measurements in the listing to ensure desired fit. And having both of those on your side in the argument, you can get that feedback removed at any time. So taking photos of the tag is very important to cover your own self in the case that someone does leave you a bad feedback due to sizing.
So this is we have another question from Bruce, which is related to how I grew, which was I was at maybe 25,000 on eBay, maybe 10,000 on all the other platforms combined. And then when I switched to eBay only, I haven't had a month less than 40,000. And I feel like that's because the focus actually narrowed. And, when you ask the question, how do you get to that next level? Usually you have an answer for yourself, but because I was going to text you, I was like, how do I double my business again? Because I want to get to $1 million a year, which is 80 something thousand. And I already answered my own question. I knew that to double from 40 to 80, I have to sell in less categories. That's how you double your business. It's so counterintuitive. It sounds like, okay, I'll just bolt on 4 more categories, but that's never the case.
Right. And to sell in less categories, what the advantage of doing that is, it's so much faster to list, so much faster to photograph the same exact items. So if you narrow your categories to only men's t-shirts exclusively, nothing else, and only source men t-shirts exclusively, nothing else, the listing time it's going to take you to list more items in the same amount of time is going to be mind-blowing, because you don't have to switch to shoe, to a hat, to a blender, to a leaf blower. It's just all one after another, shirt, 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 shirt. And if you can't list $1 million a year, then you can't sell $1 million a year.
That's right. So Bruce, I want to give you another idea. So I have a friend that used to sell luxury bags. So handle was like, let's just say luxury bags on eBay. And eventually the market that he was in couldn't sustain more. So he kept listing more, but not selling more because that category was already full. If you look at TRP, he was already getting as many sales as he could in that category. So he's like, okay, I need this. This is a scenario where he had to sell something that's not related to what he was selling before. He had to switch gears. So now he sells luxury bags and vitamins. Okay, not completely related, but he couldn't sell any more bags, so he changed his handle from luxury bags to luxury life. So it just encompassed all the different categories, and he uses the same store. I haven't really found any benefit in having more than one store unless you're going to sell your eBay store or it's like known for one thing. But most buyers on eBay are one and done. They don't usually shop at the same seller. Um, so it's okay to have multiple categories in the same store. If you did have 2 or 3 eBay stores, you're dividing your attention and you're just wasting so many. It's really a pain to manage more than one store. I also decided this year I'm not helping anybody else's store. I'm not doing any private consulting because that was like me running another store. So it's like I have to figure out why somebody's store is not doing well, and that's like the same thing as me having another store. So I decided not to do that. I'm going to put all my energy on my own store. You can have more than one category. I would say that for tech, even a hat and a shirt, those are totally different, but similar. So he should have them in the same store.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I would have multiple stores is I know I know Brucey does a lot of fishing stuff. If you
Mm-hmm.
were heavy fishing and then also decided to become like heavy basketball shoe guy, I might divide those, but you're talking heavy quantities in each, not just a couple basketball shoes sprinkled in with something else. It would have to be, you know, thousands of listings of lures, and then you got 800 shoes, and then maybe separate it like that. But that would be the only way that I would do it.
And if you look at both your store and my store, there are some replenishables that are random,
Yeah,
and there's no reason to open a second store for that.
no. Some of those replenishables that I have that are random are from my olden days where I wasn't so laser focused and I was kind of grabbing a couple more things, and the deal was just way too good to pass up. But something like that nowadays is something that I would pass up because I have no interest in selling anything outside of what my business is built around.
So what I want to really focus on today's call is okay, you are the recipe. If you just sell in one category and get really good at it and get to the point where you have $3,000 a sale and $3,000 a day in sales, that's $1 million business in one category. What I was doing is stepping over the $1 million business to pick up $100 bill in a different category every day. So instead of just giving myself $1 million business, which is what I want, I would step over here and pick up $100 bill, step over here and pick up $100 bill with these different categories. You'll hear all the time a bolo to go run and go do something. Even today, I was guilty of picking up some Pokemon cards. That is not, and then I was thinking to myself, you know what? It doesn't make sense to resell these. If I'm going to do it for fun, do it for fun. But the mental real estate of switching gears totally destroys you. And after being so focused the last 3 months, it was easy for me to just decide I'm just going to keep these and just spend my energy
The
working on that
biggest
listing habit.
thing,
Yep.
the biggest thing that I've seen due to you consistently listing the same things every single day is when you show your graph every day on your videos in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
your graph is like this. There's no huge peaks, there's no valleys.
There's
It's
none.
all steady within a given parameter of probably
Yeah.
15 to 20% per day. But there's no huge days and sucky days. Huge days, sucky days. Your graph is always flatlined because you're consistently listing the same amount of items ballpark, and you're consistently listing the same type of items. So you're going to consistently sell the same amount of the same type of items, which is going to lead to you to a much better stable graph rather than awesome sucks. So that's the biggest thing that I've seen is your graph has become way more stable.
That is so true. So a year ago in November, that's like a year and 3 months ago, I started listing 40 to 70 items a day. And it took me maybe 6 months to a year to get to 40 sales a day, which is the low end of 40 to 70. It took like a year to get there. Now my sales are almost 70 a day, but 70 is the low end of what I list. So it's like
Mhm.
you can look at you, whatever is like kind of your least productive valley, that's how you should adjust your business. Like I don't think it's possible now to have less than 40 sales a day. Like people, there's a person in the group that posted that they have 10 sales a day with 1,300 listings. And I did the math. That's great. That's an awesome
Yeah,
sell through rate. To
yeah.
get 20 sales, you might have to have twice as big of a store. I don't know if you could optimize it where you're selling 60% of your store each month. I don't know if that's even possible.
I subscribe to that philosophy of X amount of sales per listing. So I don't know what he sells, but whatever he sells, every time he increases his store by 130 items, he should be able to see one more sale per day.
That's right.
So I'm around the same ballpark. I have 30,000 items and I sell around 200 items per day. So for every extra 150 items I get in my store, I should expect to see an extra one sale per day. That's how I see it. So when people say, hey, I have 2,000 items in my store, I'm selling 10 a day, I want to sell 20. The math to me that I subscribe to is you need to have a 4,000 items store if you want to have 20 sales per day, because you're going to get X amount of sales per however many you have listed. I subscribe to that heavily. And that's a very easy way to work backwards and figure out how you can reach your goal.
And if you list a different category every day, you don't know. You know, every 150 items, you're going to pick up an extra sale because it's in the same category. You wouldn't know that if you listed 150 plush toys. You wouldn't know what the sell through rate is because you haven't done plush toys long enough to know. But there's plush sellers that know how many more plush toys equals another plush sale.
Right. And so just for my store, for example, it's 150 items. If you're selling gold bars, if you list two items, you're going to sell two items.
That's right.
If you're listing Picassos, if you list three, you're going to sell three.
Yep.
Like maybe for plush, you might not need to have 600 items listed to get one sale per day because maybe it's a little slower of a sell through. If you're selling like Don with the very high end electronics and stereo equipment, he might only need 5 items listed to get a sale per day because the stuff he's listing is very rare. I'm sure he tests it rigorously, so he has the customer confidence, and it's very sought after. It's hard to find, but it's very sought after. So he might only need 5 Marantz tuners to
Yep.
to do one sale per day. It's all different and it's all relevant.
To continue listening to this podcast, you'll have to subscribe at patreon.com/the resellers podcast. This episode is almost 3 hours long and we have 20 other full length episodes. We are now on episode 21. We appreciate your time. Please join us at patreon.com/the resellers podcast. It's only $5 a month to get access to all of the episodes, or I recommend you join our Facebook group for $34.99 per month. And you can get 9 hours of live coaching from people who do this. All of us make 6 figures or more. So learn from people who are already doing it. You're welcome to ask questions. Post exactly what you're working on in the group, and we will help you get to your goals. Thank you so much. Make progress daily.